Hey! We're here. Thank you for letting me know there was no sound. My bad. I rambled on for a minute or two. But we got an exciting start to the day here with you. Hopefully you should have it now. I hope you do. It seems like you should. OBS is telling me there's sound now. Yo! Yo! We good? Hey, Eric. Yeah, right on. Okay, so we have some exciting stuff to go over. And thank you so much for spending some of your day with me. I appreciate that. Thanks for joining Eric, Wargaming Dad, Mythic, Delta, whoever else might be here. Grizzly, Luke, you wonderful people. So we're going to take a look at the whole Ubisoft thing, the developer harassment, and what they're saying they're going to do, and some of the reaction around that, which is kind of funny. So, there's an article, a lot of places have covered it, but it came from a French publication, or I believe a Canadian French publication, I'm not sure. We'll take a look. Yo, Draylox, you're going to do some hunts while you listen. What are you hunting? For what game? Or you literally like hunting things, which would be pretty cool. So this article talks a little bit about, the controversy with Assassin's Creed. But this is the part where we want to look at. This new report from, it was a French publication, not French-Canadian. It cites anonymous Ubisoft employees giving details about what's happening internally, including advice not to post on social media, that they even work at Ubisoft to avoid harassment. In fact, an entire anti-harassment plan has reportedly taken shape by Comité Social et Économique. It's an employee-elected group required for French companies with 11 or more employees. I'm assuming it's not just for French-speaking. Or is it for, France? Because Quebec is French, too. Monster Hunter Wilds, right on. Offering psychological and legal support, eh? That's cool. I can attest to that. So, if it sounds over the top, there's been many such instances of individual developers targeted over games that are deemed woke or anti-DI statements that they made. This can involve them being personally attacked and brigaded online, or their actual faces being plastered on YouTube thumbnails. Do we know anyone that does that a whole lot? I don't. Do you? At times, even developers with progressive t-shirts, stated pronouns, or certain colored hair seen in videos are cited as the problem. Have they been watching Smash's videos and listening to Grums? So it says whether all Ubisoft employees will abide by the social media suggestions, and they are just suggestions. But I'm sure they don't want harassment, and they take it seriously. And harassment just doesn't mean things that could be unwanted attention. Like I think of the recent scenario I went through, and a gentleman that might have got some unwanted attention. That's why intent has a whole lot to do with it. I think if you're now a YouTuber with a large following, and you should have a good idea what's going to happen if you start sharing people's personal information for anything controversial or negative. We can use another example is, I hate to bring up Smash, but it's examples from him that are fresh in my mind. That one Concord developer, Prof Brown, they might be weird as fuck. I don't know. That said, their coverage was so wacky and targeted against this person that might not meet their traditional template of what they think a game developer should be. It was enough that people contacted me and said, hey, this reporting's whack. This person didn't have the impact on the game that Smash stated. So, and that person, Prof Brown, I'm pretty sure they had to lock everything down, including various things on LinkedIn. I think they may have locked their ex before. I have no idea, but it's an example of kind of targeting and brigading. It's interesting, and legally it's interesting. There has been a couple cases. Bungie had one. Let's see if I can find it here. Hold on. Bungie harassment, and I just heard about this sometime recently. Now this is an extreme example. But it makes you think, where's the actual threshold? Go back to the chat. Hey, Nathan, how you doing? You personally think that this is a reaction to you? Honestly, Wargaming Dad, I thought the same thing. I'm like, oh, fuck. What did I do? I know what I did. Again, not recommended. Unique social experiment. But it's something. Hey, Chaser. Hey, Within the Ashes. Hey, Lucas, I'm doing good. Getting ready to play Shadows tomorrow. Check it out. So, this Bungie case is an example of harassment. Bungie wins a landmark dispute, and this was in 2023, against player who harassed Destiny staff. So, what happened here? The defendant, who's this guy? He's a Coomer. I don't know what a Coomer is. Jesse James Coomer was incensed when the community manager, to protect them from further harassment, they declined the name, smart, spotlighted some fan art by a black community member. Using anonymous phone numbers, Comer left a string of hideous, bigoted voicemails on their personal phone, some asking Destiny create option or the Bungie create options in Destiny 2, in which only people of color would be killed. He ordered pizza to their home. Instructions for the driver to knock at least 5 times loudly. Okay, that's psychotic. This guy's paying over $489,000 in damages. Judgment significant because it recognizes the patterns of harassment that escalate from online trolling to real-world violence, establishes the harassment of an employee in their job, damages the employer as well, which can then use its resources to go after the culprit and recognize new tort, a legal term for a form of injury or harm around cyber and telephone harassment. It's fascinating. And thanks for subscribing, Nathan. I appreciate you. While it may seem odd to celebrate a judgment that awards a company rather than an individual, the significance of the case is that the legal precedent empowers and motivates employers to use their resources to protect employees who face harassment as part of their jobs. Bungie and its lawyers have broken new important ground that could increase the level of protection for them. So, why is this brag-worthy win? With the win, we help close that gap in significant ways. I'm sure they mentioned it was an emotional win. Harassment in these communities is a problem, and it's satisfying to be a part of the solution, even if a small one. Yeah. Harassment is a pretty damn big problem. $500K in damages, yeah. Right on, Lucas. It's likely going to be in the morning. Hey, Rosemary. Mary, this is what happens to people who harass the staff of a company. Absolutely. And every case and situation is different. I get that. This is an extreme case, but where's the threshold? Like, if you think of, a guy coming on saying, listen, everyone, we've got some big problems at Halo Studios. You got this black woman who has funny hair. She is going to be the big problem with Halo. And that person gets all sorts of nasty messages and shit like that, and it causes difficulty to their life. I wonder where that threshold is. It's very interesting. Hey, Goro, how you doing? Well, absolutely. You harass someone in public or at your job, you pay the price. But it does bring up that line between free speech and harassment. Like, where is that line? And again, I think it's friggin' fascinating either way. Brought to you by sugar-free Mountain Dew. It's the most disgusting shit in the world. So that's the example of the Bungie case. Now, based on that, Grum saw that and he's like, I'm taking this personally. We gonna read this? This dude's having a meltdown, like a full-on week-long meltdown. Yeah, Sega sued someone harassing one of their staff. No doubt. And especially when it's repeated and repeated and repeated. So, dear Ubisoft monitors, I know that life is hard. I wake up early and I post a lot, often till 1 or 2 a.m. in the morning. I know you have to suffer me posting about how great games have been for the last 12 months. Source, please. I know you're probably worried for your jobs if Assassin's Creed even mildly underperforms. Always love my accent. I appreciate that. And hey, Allie, how you doing? Hope you're doing well. It's okay. I understand. Your bosses are pretty busy, trying not to go bankrupt as they fend off Tencent and other hostile takeovers while being racist to Japan and making things even worse. You gotta be real, man. Oh my god, this is so unserious. They don't are about, I'm so Canadian, about the emotional price of having to immerse yourself into the fire hose of X-Drum every day. You weren't built for this. What does this mean? Like, you weren't built for being, like, brigaded on? Like, what's he trying to say? Maybe he didn't ask for the job. He's speaking to his monitors. The emotional price of having to immerse yourself. That's so funny. Maybe you didn't ask for the job, but they also made you have to read through Smash JT and all the I think he meant to say drivel Alyssa's posting for the day, or Endeavor on hammering home those logical smackdowns about how your company keeps fumbling the ball, brother. Oh man, the airbag stuff has been wild within the Ashes. Airbag, he's got airbagged on the mind. Jackson Brown wrote a song about that. In my mind, thinking of airbagged. Yeah, isn't that the song? I don't know. Now you're immersed in the culture war 24/7, and it's slowly either blackpilling or radicalizing you. Only two ways? Soon you might even be a Trump supporter and long for Canada become the latest member of our glorious union. I'm just picturing this in Trump's voice. Hey, Ash. Oh, he's talking to his Ubisoft monitors. Just let it happen. Let it flow through you, and you're ready. AC fails. Quit your job and join the winning team. We will be there to welcome you. No hard feelings. Your conversion will be complete. Just let it flow. What a nut. What a fucking nut. Like, this brain rot is a real thing to be studied. Like, I do think there's extreme left positions that might not be rooted in, like, total logic in some cases. Where we might not listen to things. This is on a whole other level in that far right. Like, I don't know, I say far right or far something. Far moron. Like, whatever the hell it is. Dude is nuts. Like, I hope there's mental rehabilitation for people that go through this. Like, I hope there's going to be, like, a 65-year-old Grums who's like, man, I was crazy. And, you know, he can honestly say, hey, maybe I made some good points there and there, but I acted like a fucking nut bar. Like, I hope there's a moment that he has in his life that leads to that. Weak Darth Vader energy. Hey, Yakara. The thing that annoys me are people are saying that Ubisoft is suing people for giving criticism, even though they aren't. Absolutely. If you, like, their actual statement is consistent with what I've gotten from Ubisoft Legal. Like, I had to have a few back and forths to get clarity on a cease and desist that I got. Because it was stressful for me because I felt real bad for someone. For this type of circumstance, like, oh my gosh, this person's getting so much unwanted attention probably. By someone being like, yeah, you should sue this man to own the woke or some shit. And, you know, cool. But I felt real bad for a dude. But from their language, after I had my back and forths, the key thing, hold on, I'm going to pull up the words here. I want to respect their privacy. I won't pull up the email, like, up here, but I will pull up the clarity that they gave me and what they actually care about, or at least what they told me. It was, okay. The cease and desist letter was issued solely to address the protection of our employee and compliance means in relation to that, fully respecting privacy laws and ensuring no further misuse of personal information. Protection of the employee is kind of the critical thing that I hear. And that's what at least this legal team probably cares about, because if they can't protect their employees, why would someone want to work there? I think that's pretty important. Why should you... It would be so hard to have a job where you got a bunch of idiots yelling at you and you can't brag about your accomplishments at all, not based on an NDA from the company, but based on the possibility of harassment or people saying that you suck. Yeah, and you know, there's that line between criticism and harassment. And every statement is different, you know what I mean? You have to evaluate everything for what it actually is. What do you see here? Grums is, yeah, old man yelling at clouds given his current age. Absolutely. Go a little further down. Oh, yeah! This one. Dear Grubs, I know you... I like this one, Wargaming Dad. I saw that. I know you think tweeting is hard, and looking up the information on a tweet is even harder. I know that you know that everyone around you thinks you're a clown. Yeah, I hope he knows that. Even those who fight with are starting to see it. I know that you're a failed game dev that hasn't been part of a good game since Blizzard. That's okay. Just remember that not everyone is good at game development or being a leader. Sometimes that's not the job for you, and it's okay to admit it. I hope that you'll soon realize that all the milk jokes, people saying mean things, and hammer gifs are not threats, just a tough form of criticism. Ooh, that probably get you blocked, didn't it? When it finally sinks in that you're a nobody that's failed at every step of his career, we'll be here to support you and make hopefully mid-game, so your backers can feel something other than regret and anger at believing that you can make their Firefall dreams come true. So put down the stolen milk, get off Airbag's account, put away the hammer gifs, and reflect. There's still time to remove your backers. Man. Yeah, that would probably get you blocked. What a guy. What a guy. So, this was Grum's... That's a little bit of Grum's reaction. Let's go back a little bit, though. Because he was still getting mad. Look at these thumbnails. I mean, maybe we'll have a listen to the video. Maybe the thumbnail is just a marketing thing, and the content is totally different. Ubisoft threatens lawsuits. Ubisoft said they were going to try to protect their employees, and I took offense to that. I took it personally. Shit's hilarious. If you're just joining the stream, by the way, make sure to smash that like button. Helps the stream out, gets visibility. This is the stuff that I'm covering. Not a whole lot of people cover, and I find it kind of interesting. It's a unique look at our culture and the people covering it, which is fascinating. Yeah, that would get someone blocked. Let's take a look at one of these videos. This is Smash's response to this. Let's hear what he said. I started earlier. Oh shit, let me make sure if y'all can hear this. Let me know about the volumes.
Where we can assist them, sometimes monetarily, but sometimes just being available to do that.
I didn't really think I could see Ubisoft falling any lower than they already had in the past couple of months, but here I am, being surprised once again. I really shouldn't be at this point, the way they've been going, but between sending C&Ds to YouTubers and then striking channels that happen to show leaked videos of their botched games injected with...
If we talk about that, the copyright strike that he got, although unfortunate, that sucks. I can relate to that. I did a Helldivers video like months ago, and I showed off some leaked stuff that a guy on Twitter often shows, or a guy on X, Twitter, whatever. And I got copyright striked from Helldivers for that. Sucked. I hated it. Could be a little louder? Okay. Yeah, that's Smash's voice. I will say, he's gone out of his way to say my voice is really annoying. I mean, it might be. It's Canadian accent, unique voice.
DEI, and that's their fault for leaking them, but yet somehow it's the YouTuber's fault for discussing it. That's neither here nor there, because moving on, they have now moved to combine their powers with the Canadian government, team up together to fight against hate speech, harassment, and protecting their employees, or at least that's what they're using to hide behind all of this. But what's really happening is they want to curb any kind of criticism against Assassin's Creed Shadows as launch approaches, and it couldn't get any worse. What's going on, guys? Welcome to another episode.
I'm looking forward to seeing how he tries to get to that. I don't see it as curbing any criticism. The game has been, criticized wholly since its announcement. Huge amounts of criticism. I don't think people are going to get flagged for criticism. If they do, I think that's wrong. I do think harassment will probably do it. Yeah, I did too, Nathan. I know he got mad. He's like, oh, he sounds like he's trying to sell you something. I don't know. It's Funny shit.
of Smash JT. I wrote an article on smashjt.com discussing how Ubisoft is actively working with the CSE, that's part of the Canadian government, in order to censor any kind of negative coverage when it comes to Assassin's Creed Shadows. It's basically the American equivalent to the NSA. They're the people that monitor online activity to see if there's anyone saying anything that they could find any kind of offense with, and then move forward to doing what they gotta do to stop that. Yeah, I don't really see this ending well for Ubisoft.
Offense or breaking the laws? Or, a hypothetical scenario. Let's just throw this. I'm sure nothing like this has ever happened in the history of anything. Let's say a YouTuber does a social experiment and uses the name and a role of an employee and sends it to a complete moron, hoping that he would actually, check his resources, send a follow-up email, something like that. He doesn't, gets mad eventually, and then shares this person's name all over the place. This person likely, I have no idea, but I could see in a scenario, would probably get contacted by numerous people. Harassment is unlimited, pending the jurisdiction, pending the area, pending the regional laws, all that shit. Isn't just limited to someone being mean, it could be unwanted detention. So this strategy, whatever Ubisoft's doing, I don't think it just got activated. I think we've already seen it in action, the steps that they're taking to protect their employees. Oh, you're cooking some burgers, and I'm glad you're enjoying the content, Ash. Oh, I need some burgers. Funny enough, this isn't an advertisement, but we've been doing HelloFresh for months, and I'm a terrible cook. But I've been doing most of the cooking, and it's helped me be a better cook. I don't even care. I need the directions.
Hit that subscribe, give me a like, and check out smashjt.com for the full article breaking down how Ubisoft is actively working with the Canadian government to censor Assassin's Creed Shadows coverage. Ubisoft, a company already in a whole heap of unrelenting turmoil due to financial struggles, employee dissatisfaction, and an absolutely wrecked public image, is now apparently working with the Canadian government's Communications Security Establishment, or the CSE, to monitor and censor any online discourse surrounding Assassin's Creed Shadows. Now, I first heard about this from Bandar Hub on X, where he said Ubisoft is preparing to curb the backlash against critics of Assassin's Creed Shadows. They are going...
Look at the name, this weird-ass little document. Ubisoft prepares anti-harassment plan to target critics? So, I agree with the first 5 words of that. 4 if you include, the last 2 being hyphenated. They prepare, or 5 even, they prepare an anti-harassment plan. Was it to target critics? Or is that kind of imaginary? Again, if we see evidence of them targeting critics, that might be a different story. If we see evidence of them trying to protect their employees, because if they don't, they won't have any employees. Yeah, hey, Nitwit's World, he calls people harassing folks online censorship. Smash, please, thoughtful. Yeah. Oh, yeah, that's a completely reliable source, right? This all came from that French article. What you gonna add? Just ketchup, mustard, Cajun spice, and go. Oh, that sounds so good. Kind of like a Smash bitched about Alyssa sharing his name, but it's all right for him to share a Ubisoft employee's name and mine. It's all about intent, in my opinion. What's your intent behind it? Should Alyssa have probably shared his name and address? No. He didn't share my address. He shared my name and city I lived in, and felt zero remorse for that. Is there an actual link, or is this just an image on Twitter? This was just an image on Twitter. The article itself was from... It's a French publication. And hey, Vex, if you Google it, the article, and you find a decent article with it, I don't know, fucking Forbes or something, it'll have the a link to the French article, what they actually say. Yeah, fair to ask what Smash's source is other than a random Twitter user. Yeah, the actual article is from a French news publication. Let's actually take a pause here and see what it says. I'm just going to bring it up and see if I can get the old Google Translate going. Ubisoft harassment. Okay. And I'll see if I can find the actual French article and see what is real. It's from, okay, BFM TV. Tabernacle. Okay. I got this translated. Crucial week for Ubisoft. GDC's going on. They're trying to rebuild their health and image, okay? All sorts of shit going on there, like this guy has problems. Okay. If the game does average, they're in a really bad way. Okay, this is stuff I haven't really seen yet. If Shadow sells very well, we can breathe a little. Yeah, we'll see what happens. A financial break, but a psychological one, a sort of reset would be good for the employees. The teams worked like never before to finish it. And you know what? I believe that. I believe these folks probably worked their asses off with all the delays and the pressure that there is in this game. For real, Aura. Hey, Luke, you're personally outraged? Oh, we're talking about Assassin's Creed Shadows and the Canadian government's plan to silence any criticism across the world on it. You're here for the tears. The tears and the salt. It's not like Ubisoft is rolling in cash. Yeah, but they've got enough money to sue people. They definitely do. I mean, they have at least a team of lawyers. So I'm trying to find the harassment bit they mentioned. The marketing campaign for this game seems more effective. Yeah, they can thank all the anti-woke creators for all the free marketing that they got. They talked about this game so much that it became likely a bigger part of the good old cultural zeitgeist than it was gonna be. Now, if the game was really bad, I mean, that would just, you know, I guess prove the point. But I guarantee that the position from anyone that said that, you know, that made this like a cultural flashpoint for them and a big part of their content, I will be very surprised if there's anything that this game could do to make them enjoy it. I don't know how it's going to be. I played Black Flag. I played a bit of Mirage. I didn't play the RPG Assassin's Creed, so I'm going to give it a try tomorrow. I'm looking forward to it. Hey, thanks, Luke. Hope you enjoy yourself, man. Exactly. I'm surprised they're still existing. They've had financial failure after financial failure. Like, something like Star Wars, technically, I could tell they invested a lot of money in it. On the flip side, there were so many boneheaded design choices, bad facial animations, bad stories. Like, nothing against Kay, but you could have just had to create a character, and that story would have been the same. You know, that said, I love just cruising around Tatooine. Again, big Star Wars nerd. I have Star Wars tattoos. I got a lightsaber behind me. It's going to be a pretty low standard. I've never watched The Acolyte. I love Andor. I hated Kenobi. Grubbs calls this game his personal 9/11. Yeah, this is his personal, could be his personal 9/11. If Ubisoft, like in a few days, is like, thank you so much for your like 1 gazillion copies sold or something, he's going to be a sad panda. But he'll find a way to spin it. Here's the anti-harassment stuff this is directly from the article. And this is from anonymous employees. This period is not good. Trial of former executives accused moral and sexual harassment. Again, translation's kind of weird. To guard against any nauseating social media systems, a system's been introduced to protect them. They're advised not to post on social media that they work on Ubisoft to avoid harassment. Emphasizes one Ubisoft employee recalling numerous online attacks already suffered since the presentation. An extreme and stressful situation. And an anti-harassment plan was presented to the CSE to accompany the game's release. So they monitor networks and act quickly. I don't know what the CSE actually friggin' does. I need Wikipedia for this one. I need them to make it simple. Maybe a little bit wrong, but we'll take it. The extermination unit? What? Okay, foreign intelligence, protecting government, technical authority. Is it the U.S. equivalent of the FTC? I wonder. It's funny. I'm Canadian. I don't know this. They collect information. I do, I could tell that. So they collect information, and I guess if that information is collected, maybe that means they can identify anonymous users easier. Examination. Okay, thank you. Thank you, Nathan. I misread that. Dark times, man. So they're offering psychological and legal support. People that are targeted. And I get it. I saw some ex-Ubisoft employee and mention that they were threatened to be killed and other stuff. That was pretty bad. Because Mirage had different color roofs than during that period or something like that. Yeah, it was mid. It was slop. It was bad fast food. Diesel. I was hoping that the DLC would be better. The DLC was good, but afterwards it's like you had this cool casino ship. You couldn't even go back to it. So I felt kind of empty. It just could have been such a better game. Let's continue on through this video though. So we have a little background on what the actual article said. Nothing about plan to target critics. At least nothing stated there. The rest of the meat of it there, let's see, is all right. Explains an elected official, psychology. Lawyers are ready to file complaints in events of proven harassment. Okay. Roofs.
Going as far as sending lawyers after you if they deem your criticism a targeted attack or harassment. And that was linking to an article from bfmtv.com, linking to an article, well, I'll do Google Translate here, for Assassin's Creed Shadows for Ubisoft. It's about coming out of the shadows or diving a little deeper into them. And in this article, they go on to speak about how this game in itself is the make it or break it game.
It is.
For Ubisoft. And they're using this connection with the Canadian government and hiding behind an anti-harassment campaign plan implemented to protect employees. And I got to be honest with you guys, every time I hear,
and Smash took that personally.
oh, we're from the government and we're here to help you, or we're here to protect you, we know that's not what's actually transpiring here. And what this ultimately is a smokescreen for the reality. Ubisoft using their employees as a safety net to say, hey, don't attack our game because we will come after you if we determine it to be something that could potentially harass the developers or could potentially negatively impact how they feel. You could see the slippery slope this starts to go down. How desperate do they have to be to start?
I think it's pretty easy for the most part not to harass someone. I don't know. I can understand there being a teetering line for the content that these guys make. I mean, the irony is here, though, we're listening to a guy who's in a lawsuit about harassment, whatever those results of it end up being, talk about how, this is a slippery slope. I mean, I think he's got to learn his boundaries and limits.
Are going after anyone shit-talking their game. Do they really think that this approach is going to end well for them? Their latest move here is a blatant attack on free speech, an authoritarian overreach meant to suppress criticism and maintain corporate control over the narrative surrounding their latest title.
Okay, that's a little bit of Smash GPT there. I don't see the correlation of, what did he say here?
To suppress criticism and on free speech, an authoritarian overreach meant to suppress criticism and maintain corporate control over the narrative surrounding their latest title.
The thing is, he can complain about the game, and he can make criticisms. What won't work well for him is making a video being like, oh my goodness, look at this rainbow-haired girl employee, XXXX, whatever her name is. She was the lead something on this game, and she's a big... These are the people that are working on Assassin's Creed Shadows. They ruined this. They were a big part of ruining this. That's not going to fly. I mean, he should try it. See what happens. No, don't do that.
Okay.
He sounds like a bozo. Bozo clown. That's what think about, yeah. In Canadian law, criminal harassment is defined in the criminal code and involves conduct that causes a person to reasonably fear for their safety. Yeah, that's about right, Wargaming Dad. Always going to look at the purposive approach of it as well, the history behind it. That impacts how it's administered. And Nathan says, here's the deal. Ubi will consult a lawyer and won't sue anyone they won't win against. Yeah, exactly. That's essentially what would happen. They're not going to waste their time trying to sue someone that they're not going to likely win against. Again, every scenario is different. Did he just accuse them of being the Genghis Khan of the legal world? Maybe. Maybe. And if you're just joining, folks, make sure to smash that like button. Just a nice, friendly, gentle reminder.
And, is anyone really surprised with how they're acting at this point? Assassin's Creed Shadows releases on March 20th, 2025, and Ubisoft is banking on it as a much-needed success after a string of commercial failures. From games like Prince of Persia, The Lost Crown, Skull and Bones that was estimated to cost upwards of $800 million or more, Avatar, Frontiers of Pandora, and of course, how could we forget Star Wars Outlaws, a game that flopped upon release. Internally, Ubisoft themselves have admitted that their employees are being very anxious, with many, including myself, believing that if Shadows underperforms, the company will be in serious trouble. The kind of trouble that ultimately leads to the end of a company, kind of.
I do think Ubisoft's going to be in trouble no matter what. They may be spun off into different companies. Maybe Take-Two will buy them. Maybe some other companies will buy them.
Trouble. And CEO Yves Guillemot has faced pressure from shareholders, with a major Slovak investment fund even calling for his ultimate removal from his post. And with this insanely high pressure, Ubisoft is now potentially going to be lashing out at content creators and journalists for looking to knock down anyone who dares to provide honest coverage of their, at least in my humble opinion, very racist and DEI-fueled game of Assassin's Creed Shadows. Instead,
oh my fucking god. These fucking guys. Very racist and DEI-filled game. Like, the far right, I don't know what to call Smash. I'll call them the far right. I mean, I can't think of a better way to define them. Is so sensitive. It's the woke right, essentially. So sensitive. Using racism. Well, at the same time, being on a stream with a guy defending, what's his name, that reality-based motherfucker, Ryan, you know, the little goblin-looking dude that started talking about, like, Spear Chucker Studios and stuff. Those are words, right? Some people might find them funny, some people don't. A lot of people didn't. And when people try to hide stupid shit like that behind humor, man, you got to bank on it being funny. Sure, humor can be subjective, but if a very small percentage of people find it funny, is it really funny? I don't know. But the racism in this, I'm trying to wrap my head around perceiving this as racist. And they'll also probably talk about the cultural insensitivity. It's like Hillary Clinton talking about GTA San Andreas with that, you know, all that shit that went on with that. It's just weak. It's weak. Hey, Document Gaming. Yeah, the dude with the puffy face and the beard. Oh, that's a funny video. Maybe we'll watch that. It's basically Smash and him talking to another YouTuber being like, would you say that to me to my face? And the little dude's like, yeah, of course I would. I'm like, yeah, okay. It's not pure Asian erasure. They ignore Naoi in order to hate a black guy. Yeah. Who had no choice to be in Japan at the time. And, you know, they're trying to be like, oh, the historical accuracy. He wasn't a samurai. I don't give a shit. Historical accuracy doesn't mean that every aspect of it is going to be, like, perfect. It's an Assassin's Creed game. Didn't they fight the Pope? Isn't there a fair amount that's accurate, but probably some things that are wrong? Yeah, that dude, Nathan. Oh, that's a funny video. It's an oldie but a goodie.
Instead of focusing on making a high-quality product that could stand on its own merit, Ubisoft is now attempting to police online conversations in an effort to control perception, a beyond obvious and extremely dangerous overreach.
Like, again, Smash GPT here is just pulling so much from an article that didn't allude to any of that. And he might be pulling from his own experiences, but if we look at his own experiences, he probably brought unwanted attention to some dude. He shared leaked gameplay from a game that hasn't been released. If you did that to GTA 6, if I had a copy of GTA 6 sitting in front of me, and I showed some of that, would Rockstar give me a copyright strike? Damn right they would. In fact, if you show too much GTA 6 footage, they will right now. Smash GPT, yeah. When you hear him use the big words, I know he complained about me using zeitgeist. He's like, what does that mean? So, I can hear the AI rhythm. I can hear the AI rhythm. And the articles don't allude to silencing criticism. Could they do that? Anyone could do anything. But until you have clear evidence of that, you know what the funniest thing is, though, is watching paranoid people get really fucking paranoid. It's pretty fucking hilarious.
Precedent in the gaming world that I'd want to ever see take hold. But then again, this is Ubisoft we're talking about, and when it comes to money and survival, they will do whatever it takes to get that outcome. So Ubisoft has partnered with the Communications Security Establishment of Canada's government branch, also known as the CSE, which is Canada's National Cybersecurity and Signals Intelligence Agency. While their official mandate supposedly focuses on protecting Canadian government systems and preventing cyber threats, they've also been deeply involved with DEI initiatives.
Oh my God.
Diversity, equity, and inclusion destruction that we're seeing in modern gaming.
I need to think about DEI. Okay, and I'm coming from a place of reasonable expertise in it. I won't say like a huge advocate of it. I've worked in corporate training for a long time. I've seen it go from diversity training and like learning about different cultures, like if you do travel, like tipping procedures and customs and things like that, to where it's transitioned to DEI. And people, especially in the gaming space, use it as way too wide of a catch-all. Would anyone have a problem with some kind of DEI metric hiring that says, I don't think there's, I hope there's not, a lot of situations say, yeah, we need to hire X amount of Latino folks, 4 black folks, etc., etc. What I don't see a problem with is, and it's funny, Grumps did the same thing, and he's complaining about DEI. I listened to an interview about him a while ago. Is that what's wrong with having a job fair in a underrepresented place? Let's say that, you know, no black people are applying at your jobs. And in fact, maybe not a lot of people are applying anyways. What's wrong with having a job fair in that area? That's an example of, you know, equity, or, you know, in actually putting some decent initiatives within DEI. But no metric should be higher. But the point I want to get to, all these fools talking about DEI, if you remove that word, what would it be? Would it be, you know, you can tell that, what would they replace it with in this circumstance? That's a fun game. Let's see.
Also been deeply involved with DEI initiatives, the diversity, equity, and inclusion destruction that we're seeing in modern gaming. The CSE's stated goals include building a workforce.
Like, games are creative projects. People are going to make what they're going to make. Sometimes that'll be aligned with sales. Sometimes it won't. I'm not sure what change would they want. That's the part I can't wrap my head around. Like, what would satisfy people upset about DEI? Is it, do they want less diverse people working there? There's talk about meritocracy. I've hired dozens, if not hundreds of people. Well, probably in the high dozens. And it's never about, at least for me, it was never about, like, you know, race, etc., etc. It was about who was best for the job. And that's not there's a lot of subjectivity there, right? You're taking into account like experience, skills, how will they be a fit for the team? How do they help us meet our organizational goals? You're looking at a lot of different things that should always be about the best candidate. Like, I don't think anyone's in disagreement about that.
That reflects.
What is this, giddy video? Yeah, maybe. Nathan says, in most corporations, it's don't say racist slurs about your coworker, and we hire the most qualified person regardless of skins. It should be, yeah. But then people get upset in gaming when they see a lot of gay people, a lot of black people. And, you know, I was reading an article the other day that LGBT folks are, the word used is overrepresented in gaming compared to other industries. And examine the reasons for that. Oh, sorry, the last video I was looking at was AJ Styles saying the gay community, which is really funny. But there was an overrepresentation, and that's why you might see that. I'm trying to remember some of the reasons behind it. I think a lot of it boiled down to is some of these folks were told, oh, you want a game like this? Make your own games. And, well, they are. They're working games. Creative people, talented people. And when I say overrepresented, again, I don't mean that in a bad way. That was meant to be, let's say, compared against other industries of representation for LGBT folks. Shadows is number 2 in sales in Japan. Yeah, no doubt. It's probably going to sell well, I think. I don't know, though.
Canada's diversity, identifying and removing structural barriers, and fostering an open dialogue on discrimination and racism. You guys can probably see where I'm going with all of this. The agency's close ties with the government and its expanding role in monitoring online activity is raising a lot of concern.
You nailed it, Kara. They want the best person for that job, unless that person isn't straight or white or conforms to what they want to conform to.
In the gaming community itself. Ubisoft is clearly leveraging this government-backed organization to actively suppress dissent against Assassin's Creed Shadows in hopes to block criticism and increase sales as some sort of last-ditch effort to save their failing company. Ubisoft has implemented an anti-harassment plan to protect employees from online attacks, and YouTubers like myself covering...
Like, how can you not think that's a good idea? Like, I'm sorry, like, when I hear that, I think most normal people that hear that are like, well, that's good. They're trying to protect their company. And their not their company, but their employees. I mean, I can't see any problems with that. But I know Smash and other YouTubers are like, again, Ubisoft's trying to protect the employees from harassment, and I took that really personally, which is absolutely insane to me. Oh, I got some free memberships for y'all. I think so. Membership gifting. Boom. Free 5 memberships. You get some custom emojis and stuff. Glad YouTube lets me give those away. Enjoy.
The situation constantly always say, do not harass any of the developers or these employees that work at these companies. Just discuss what we know and the facts that are coming down the pipe. If we want to complain,
what he said there?
These companies, self-covering the situation constantly always say, do not harass any of the developers or these employees that work at these companies. Just discuss what we know and the facts that are coming down the pipe. If we want to complain about how we feel like they're not doing a good...
Does he do that? Maybe I'm wrong. I haven't heard it. I'm not saying he doesn't.
Job. I feel like that's fair game, but don't go out to go at them personally, track them down and contact them directly. Don't do that kind of stuff. But I don't see that kind of stuff even happening, which makes you wonder why Ubisoft would need to take this next step.
Oh my God, is this guy, is he brain dead? Is he like unaware of the impact of his actions, Grum's actions on individual people that work on the game industry? I can think of an easy example from Grum's. There's a Helldivers community manager that he targeted. And I ended up talking with them like months later. And because he targeted them, it ruined their online life. Like, it made it really difficult. Piles of DMs. Yo, Vincent. Yeah, not exclusively him. But I wanted to take a look at his take on the Canadian government stuff. Because I did see his article. He was complaining about me a little bit. So I wanted to see what he also had to say there.
When nobody was calling for it, unless it's to add an additional level of, how do we protect ourselves and have something in place if we don't like what someone is specifically saying about our game? And how can we silence that? In reality, it's just a coordinated effort to monitor and flag negative discussions about Assassin's Creed Shadows on platforms like Twitter or X, Reddit, and even YouTube that Ubisoft themselves, don't approve of. A special team is reportedly dedicated to tracking these conversations, with Ubisoft's legal department prepared to take action against any individuals they deem problematic. I, for one, can vouch for this personally, as my channel received a strike from Ubisoft for daring to discuss a leak of their own DEI-injected product.
He can discuss the leak all he wants. I believe it was the footage that he showed for 8 seconds, 9 seconds. Sucks, but I hope he understands what happens and learns from it.
That game, Project U, that's been put on ice after 5 years of development and looking like a complete woke slop fest. And I was just giving my thoughts on it, just like friend of the channel Hypnotic was as well. And it wasn't our fault that the game got leaked out there. And we were just giving our thoughts on the news, which is what our channels always do. But that didn't stop Ubisoft from moving forward with sending a strike at our channels, both of us, when they could have just as easily sent a takedown request and we would have just removed the videos as a courtesy to them. But no, they went to the nuclear option, pressing that button and sending a strike to our channels, and then not giving us any kind of way to fight back against them. This is Ubisoft, and this is what they're doing in 2025. And speaking of 2025, on top of that, I've also gotten a C&D from their lawyers for daring to have a video discussing a topic of how somebody impersonated a Ubisoft employee and then came after me with that fake person trying to pretend they were somebody else. And all I did was make a video saying, hey, everyone, here's what happened. Here are the facts. Let me explain this on the table for you so we all know what happened. Didn't stop Ubisoft lawyers from coming at me and the person that did it themselves. And like I said, while it's...
Does he not get why, or is it just like victim, victim, victim? Like, does he understand the precise reasons why? He obviously must, because he blanked out in his video the reason why.
Of course, understandable for a company to want to protect its employees from legitimate harassment. Ubisoft is clearly overstepping into the realm of censorship here. The difference between shielding developers from abuse and actively suppressing critical discourse is gigantic. And Ubisoft's latest moves here seem far more aimed at silencing any kind of dissent rather than fostering a fair and open dialogue about the game. That itself is extremely telling. Ubisoft's no stranger to controversy, though. They even have their own internal scandal going on right now with their toxic workplace culture and repeated attempts to push DEI narratives into their games. The company has already alienated an extremely large portion of their audience, and no goodwill is anywhere to be found. Assassin's Creed Shadows has already drawn criticism for its historical inaccuracies, particularly with their choice of using Yasuke as the main protagonist, claiming him as a black samurai in feudal Japan. A clear and obvious DEI-related decision that's been met with skepticism by historians.
I don't understand how it's clear and obvious DEI-related decisions where he's been... Correct me if I'm wrong. Hasn't Yasuke been, like, in other media, like Afro Samurai, for example? Wasn't he in that? As well as, like, various other media. It's not like he just kind of appeared, and this is the first piece of media that he's ever been in. You can criticize the game without bringing up the employee or the developer. Absolutely. And, you know, I brought up developers before, but I hope I've done it in a less visceral way. When I brought up developers, it's been mainly like director levels. But in, like, not a visceral way. Oh, they are a train wreck, Ocular. Yeah. He was in a few games made in Japan. Yeah, enough of this one. What do we got here? Oh, hold on. I gotta get ready for this one. Bring the glasses down. Let's hear Vara's. I've never reacted to one of her videos. I don't think I've ever watched one, so let's hear what she has to say.
The size of Ubisoft would understand how to handle backlash, but that definitely isn't the case. And now we're finding out that Ubisoft has reportedly created an anti-harassment plan for Assassin's Creed Shadows in collaboration with the Canadian government.
And Vara took offense to that.
I have a few different things to show off, but before I get into the topic, if you enjoy the content I create, check out the links in the description, join the community in my live streams, and consider supporting through Patreon or YouTube memberships. Now, this, of course, is a story with a lot of layers. Let's start off with an anti-harassment plan. I understand that Ubisoft as a company feels that they have to protect their developers, and that is great. But on the flip side, we are talking about backlash on social media, a thing that you can turn off very easily. If you say something mean to me on social media and I get offended by it, I could just close the tab or close the application and just ignore it. And you'd think,
I think she's missing the point where I think if a developer engages in discourse, they could expect to, they might get pushback, they might get criticism, they might get attacked. But if someone makes a video about someone and they get a pile of unwanted attention, that's a different story. The fake red hair, I know. Never be perfect, Dark.
that is what these people would be doing, but instead it's like they want to kind of absorb that negativity and then find a way to use it against their haters, and clearly that plan isn't working out well for them. But now PC Games N is talking about this, saying according to a new report, Ubisoft has created an anti-harassment plan to protect the development team. This comes in the wake of consistent backlash against the game from apparent anti-woke / anti-DEI content creators, their followers, and some of the series player base. You could have just said some of the series player base, because there are plenty of content creators like myself, for example, who have loved Assassin's Creed in the past and who are just disappointed with what we've seen. I think
she's disappointed that she likely falls into that anti-woke, anti-DEI content creators.
It is always so hilarious when they present it this way, that, oh, we are the problem. No, the company is the problem with the content that they are creating. Now, of course,
is she like blaming the company for having the harassment policy? I don't get it. Like a pick-me girl without a VTuber avatar. You're not wrong.
Of course, the reason why companies release teasers and trailers is to get people hyped and ultimately talking about a game. Now, yes, they want most of the feedback to be positive, but when you're releasing content early for people to judge whether they want to purchase it or not, I am also allowed to criticize it. That's also why I play these video games on my channel. Like, I'll be streaming Assassin's Creed.
All right. We heard her response. Enough of that. Do we have another one here? I think I do. There was we heard Smash. Let's keep a little consistency here. We heard Smash's reaction, but now the reviews are out. Let's hear what Smash has to say. The gender bent ranking for
Assassin's Creed Shadow embargo has lifted, and we are starting to see the shills for what they are. And nobody's really surprised. What's going on, guys? Welcome to another episode of Smash JT.
It's going to be painful for these guys that's getting fairly good reviews. Like, again, we'll get a good look tomorrow when a whole bunch of people get to play it. What is the plan? Do they know the details? It's also, as soon as something comes out, that they have to spin it in the most negative way possible? Yeah. Oh, yeah, that's what they're doing right now, being like... Grump shared a review earlier. Let's see if I can find it. Hold on. Today, I am extremely proud of the whole web and server team. What do you do? Did Ember get an update? Is the Ember website back up? Maybe I can log in. Oh, he's talking about Yasuke banging Oda Nobuga's sister? Sure. Let's see here. Grum's going crazy. Complaining with the voice acting. Metacritic scores. He doesn't understand that, different people write reviews. Yasuke is not fun. Let's take a look at the rest of the review. 8.2 out of 10. People enjoyed the game. It's always the shills.
I was really looking forward to today just to see if any of these journalistic outlets have learned any lessons along the way, from Dustborn to Concord to the most prominent one of Dragon Age the Veilguard. And all
P.S. I would not have known Dustborn existed unless these guys talked about it.
along the way, if they might take a step back and say, maybe we should probably evaluate these from the perspective of, is the game good, as opposed to, we want to push the message with these games because they echo how we feel intrinsically, internally, and because of that, it doesn't really matter if the game's good or not. It matters about the message.
The fucking brain rot. I don't know. I'm sorry. I don't mean to get so heated, but, like, what happened to these guys? Like, especially in California. Like, did something go wrong to their brain? Is there, like, a fungus going on? Like, something really hard in the head? Like, I seen The Last of Us. Is this, like, the early stages of that? Like, I just don't get it. When you start talking about the message, I think you need a little bit more clarity. And then it becomes pretty conspiracy theory laden. Or, you know, if it's not, be a little bit more precise. Ah.
And what we're seeing right now with Assassin's Creed Shadows coming from Ubisoft is more of the same. Hit that subscribe, give me a like, and check out smashjt.com for the full article breaking down the Assassin's Creed Shadows embargo release and these review scores that are outright hysterical in the context of, you've got to be kidding me. You're giving this game a perfect score, and then within the review, you're saying, the game isn't perfect, but hey, it's perfect for me. Well, here we are. The embargo has officially lifted, and the reviews for Assassin's Creed Shadow are in. But let's be real. Did anybody actually expect mainstream media outlets to be giving this other than a glowing review with praise? Ubisoft...
For petties and views. Oh yeah, you're not wrong, Ash. The thing is, though, I don't think it's petty at all. I think it's serious money. So much to the point that if you talk about it, you're going to be called a pocket watcher. Even if you find it interesting. What's wrong with that? What's wrong with that? People take that real personally. I find it really interesting. Because the views are one thing. But when you have... These guys have massive live stream communities of, you know, hundreds of people. Maybe more than that. And, you know, that probably brings in just as much, if not more, than ad revenue in some cases. Again, that's just a guess. But again, you tell people what they want to hear. Smash has been doing this for a long time. Again, there's videos from years ago calling him out for nonsense, like numerous ones. And he's had to reinvent himself numbers of times. So he's got some good experience on, you know, playing that victim, you know, funding that monies. And nothing wrong with that. Use your skills, man. Make your monies. And we're going to use our skills the best we can and have some laughs. Don't take offense.
Ubisoft's latest entry in the long-running franchise is already being showered with near-perfect scores from the usual suspects. And I gotta ask the one obvious elephant in the room question here. Are we serious right now? And on SmashJT.com, here's a quick look at some of the big-name outlets and what they're saying. We got Gaming Trend giving it a perfect score of 10, Noisy Pixel 9.5, CGM, PSX Brazil, Tech Radar, GameSpew, and 6 Assets giving it a 9. We got IGN, GameSpot, Push Square giving it an 8, and then Press Start is a 7.5, and the other ones like VGC, The Gamer, Eurogamer, Games Radar, 4 out of 5, and PSLS with a 7. Overall, as of right now, the Metacritic score is an 82. An 82 is something that might be familiar to people that would look up Dragon Age the Veilguard and see that that is actually...
My personal thought are, review scores, I don't really care about them. I like reading, like, an occasional article about the game to understand, okay, what's the game about? But I generally just go in blind. Like, I'll hear about it and be like, okay, let's try that. Or, I'll do a lot of research on indie games and see what's up.
The same exact score that that game has on Metacritic right now. But then you look at how the sales of that game went, how the concurrent players went on Steam database, and just the overall results from it with EA's conference call, talking about how BioWare is in a major struggle session right now, letting go a lot of employees and basically overhauling and reevaluating everything they do because that game completely flopped. Has the same score right now as Assassin's Creed Shadows. So take that for what it's worth. Let's take a look at some of these glowing reviews and how they ignore major problems. We got Video Games 24/7 giving it a perfect score on Metacritic, stating there are problems with Assassin's Creed Shadows for sure, but it's so fun to play. It's telling a gripping story, And there's so much sense of progress and reward for every little thing you do that it actually feels like an open world game. And moving on to Games Hub, they said, at the end of the day, it's a game about killing.
Oh my god, the cope. The cope, it actually looks fun. I'm going to be a little hint for Xbox players. You take a little trip to New Zealand tomorrow by changing your time zone. You can play it pretty early. I want to say it's like 9 o'clock my time. I'll be able to jump in. Yeah, it looks like it's going to be a good game. Will it meet their sales expectations? I mean, I hope for people's jobs' sakes. I mean, I don't have like a huge amount of love for Ubisoft or anything, but I have a huge amount of love for people working it and trying to make money. Everyone should, be able to do that, or be able to prove themselves to do that.
Killing. But here, death and beauty are linked, and the act of killing is given the gravity that must be clearly understood. It's not killing for the sake of killing. Games Hub giving it a 90 out of 100. And this is the same outlet that is saying it's not killing for the sake of killing, in a game where they inserted Yasuke, by all accounts, to insert a black guy into a game. And I gotta be honest, looking at Ubisoft's official...
What did he say?
They inserted Yasuke, by all accounts, to insert a black guy into a game.
Like, that's the thing that gets me. If this was his first ever appearance in any media, like Yasuke, I'd be like, okay. Or if he was like some kind of like abstract historical figure that no one's mentioned before, sure. But the great lengths that people have gone to be like, actually, he wasn't a samurai and Thomas Lockley was a fraud. Maybe, maybe not. I don't flippin' know, but it's a video game about assassins and people traveling through whatever the hell those things are called that transport you places. Like, holy smokes. And yeah, Ocular, does he not grasp that game reviews are someone's opinion and Metacritic is an aggregate? I don't know if he does. Imagine coping so hard at someone's opinion of a game. He was in Neo and had a whole ass anime about him, did he? Yeah, like, again, take the word DEI and, I think we need to go to this. Hold on. Keith. This is pretty funny.
I am Mighty Keith. Big news, everyone. We have a new Assassin's Creed on the way. And it's going to be in Japan. Finally.
Oh, I gotta get this back to normal speed. You take away DEI, here's what we got.
My God.
You are still a frog in a well who knows nothing of the sea.
This is a literal dream come true, bro. Yes, sir. After all this time, we're finally going to Japan. And I still gotta see you niggas. What? Whoa, whoa, whoa. What was that, man? Damn. Hey,
I still gotta be around you, big-lipped baboon beast.
Oh, I didn't hear the background there.
Bro, what was that?
We go to Greece, and I get a greasy person. We go to France, we get a France person. So why can't I get a Japan person?
You do, though. You got two protagonists, and one's a native Japanese woman.
I said person! And women aren't real people.
Hey, yo! I'm supposed to believe a small Asian woman is gonna take down 3 6-foot-tall ninjas? Okay, we're talking about Japan during the feudal era. Those dudes probably capped out at like 5'7". Where's my historical accuracy? Why is it so dark in here? Brother, in one of the games, we fight Anubis on a flaming horse. I think the real issue is, in order to get the Ultimate Edition, we gotta put down a damn mortgage payment. Why aren't we talking about that? I'm sick and tired of all this DEI in my game. What does that even stand for? Stands for too many niggas. That's not how acronyms work. Also, one of the missions is locked behind a season pass. Why aren't we talking about that? How am I supposed to blend in with a crowd of Asians being a 6'2" basketball person? The assassin part is when you're playing the Asian woman. They say it in the trailer. Has anyone even asked the Japanese how they feel? Why aren't we talking about that? It's too blatant. All right, they're trying to push an agenda and make everything woke. Now, I will admit, there are times these game industries will definitely pander to a certain demographic for some money, likes, or whatever. but it's not every single time you see a black person as a protagonist. Also, can you make your points without sounding incredibly racist? Monkey! Oh, I'm done here. Sick of this modern media. I'm gonna go play a real samurai game. Like Neo.
Or that's just crazy.
But yeah, that's often when people say DEI in games, or this one in particular, what some people might mean. Fighting Anubis on a flaming horse. Yeah, you're right. Vincent says, Metatron is an interesting video on Thomas Lockley. Yeah. So it's criticism of Assassin's Creed 3? Yeah.
And I gotta be honest, looking at Ubisoft's official YouTube channel and their posts on launch and talking about this game coming out, they have removed nearly all references of Yasuke. It's only Naue that they're playing with for the vast majority of the game. And you look at the situation for what it is, the review on IGN, and what everyone else is talking about, it's almost like the prominent character of Yasuke has been given the back seat in this game to push forward Naue as a way to try to avoid any kind of DEI conflicts and issues so that they...
Chad, what's a DEI conflict? Have you experienced DEI conflicts in your life? Have you been too close to a minority?
can minimize the backlash. And that in itself brings up a whole bunch of new issues. But if you remove all the DEI concerns that people have and pretend that none of that exists, then you might be able to find a...
Again, remove the DEI concerns. What's the DEI concern? If we remove that word, would it be like... If you remove the black concerns, is that what it would be?
On game here. Then we got NME saying Assassin's Creed Shadows is the series refresh badly needed after Valhalla, showcasing a huge technical and visual upgrade alongside a new gameplay blueprint. A fantastic story and well-developed characters ground the game in a believable era. NME giving it a perfect 100 out of 100 score. So they are saying, if I understand this correctly, that Assassin's Creed Shadows being a 10 out of 10, the perfect score game, should be up there with the highest of echelon games that have ever been created. This should be in the pantheons of Game of the Years, the greatest games ever, perfect scores. And maybe it is. Again, I have not played it yet, and I will be playing it on release day. I just find it...
Do you think any of these folks that hate Shadows are going to be like, I was wrong, it's awesome? Maybe. Maybe we'll have to see.
Very challenging to believe this when someone plays an Assassin's Creed game and says it is the perfect game, especially with all the drama surrounding the game. Sure, could it be fun? Could it be good? I would hope so. It's a massive property from Ubisoft that's proven before that they could make great games out of the Assassin's Creed brand. I'm not saying the game's going to be terrible, but we're saying it's perfect now? Guardian said, few other games have done such a good job with this setting, as you run through the lush bamboo forest before scaling ancient castle walls and sneaking inside to steal treasures. These moments of brilliance more than compensate for its weaker points. The Guardian, 100 out of 100, perfect score, 10 out of 10. The same review that says the good parts make up for the weak parts of the story and gameplay. There are weak parts in the game, yet you're giving it a perfect score. Again, these are the things where I'm like, I can't believe you. When you say things like this, it completely shoots holes in all of your stories.
Reviews are such a subjective piece. There's not really a math or a quantification behind a lot of them. If someone wants to give it a 10 out of 10 and they loved it, it was great. If I think of the 10 out of 10 games I played a few of them that I would give 10 out of 10 over the last, 6-7 years. I'd say Red Dead 2. If you were asking me to rate games, I would give it a 10 out of 10. Baldur's Gate 3, I would give a 10 out of 10. Maybe someone feels the same way about Shadows.
When you're trying to be honest with integrity and you push forward some slop review like this, people will read right through it. You're trying to be transparent, and then you say, yeah, but at the end of the day, it's still perfect. Oh, and let's...
Like, the goalposts are just ridiculous. People are just giving their feedback on the game, and there's this conspiracy theory laden... Like, if you look at almost every I won't say almost everyone, because I haven't looked at it like that, but I looked at numerous reviews of the game, and in the comments, it's like, how much were you paid? How much were you paid? How much were you paid? And I'm glad we'll get a chance to see tomorrow. Like, for example, I'm hopefully going to be playing it at like 9 o'clock. I'm going to be streaming it. Probably be on my Xbox. You'll get to see the power of the Xbox Series S trying to play this. But later in the day, I'll be coming to the computer. I'm playing it only on Xbox because I can play it earlier because the New Zealand trick. Those early review copies go to that chill media. Yeah, he's talking about integrity, like the pot meet kettle. But remember, bro, Smash owned up. I mean, what the fuck else could he do? Yeah, or Smash JT, they have to play it to give it a review. Yeah. I have more faith listening to the people that have actually played it, put in the time. G-Man's a good one. There's numerous other creators that I have faith in. That will give their perspective on it.
Let's not forget the other day I noticed on a live stream that ESPN was apparently reviewing this game as well. And they said the best thing Ubisoft could have done for the series. ESPN. Which I don't even want to take the time to cover this. If you want to see that, I got a clip of that live stream that I published as well, which... what the hell is ESPN even doing in this? That's a whole nother story. These reviews are peppered with vague, PR-friendly praise about the massive technical upgrade and well-developed characters. Yet, when you read between the lines, there's clear admissions that the game has significant problems, and some of these outlets are still giving the game a perfect overall score. How is that even possible? But conveniently, those issues always seem to overshadow the apparent fun fact. Does all of this sound too familiar? It's the same kind of excess praise that we got from Concord before that crashed and burned after launch. And like I said earlier, it's the same kind of review padding that we saw from Dragon Age the Veilguard before that flopped as well. And let's not forget, this is the same
The thing is, reviews aren't indicative of sales. Reviews are written by a person who played a game, often according to their taste, their perspective. If someone reviewed Concord and had a good time, lots of people, when I say lots of people, you know, I know not a lot of people played Concord, but numerous people that played Concord enjoyed it. A number of them left positive reviews on Steam about that. It's no different, in my opinion, than a game reviewer playing a game that they enjoyed. The company could tank in a week, didn't mean they didn't enjoy the game. Like, I do not think about the company well-being when I'm looking for the fun factor of a game. What's more important in this game is 0, an odd, or an even number. It'd be even. Wouldn't it?
Ubisoft that is now putting together, allegedly, a team of lawyers and social media personalities behind the scene to review what's being said about Assassin's Creed Shadows to potentially throw lawsuits at people over criticism. And sure,
again, going back to that bullshit that we don't really know. Lawsuits for criticism. That wasn't mentioned anywhere in that French article. What was mentioned was... do we still have it up? We have this one. This is their actual statement. And this is consistent with what I shared earlier in the stream that I got from Ubisoft. Our stance has always been that our team members' social media channels are their own. Our top priority is the safety of our employees, including online, which is why it's standard practice at Ubisoft. We got guides for navigating it. We also share resources to help protect and prevent online harassment, something our teams have unfortunately faced. This is what they said. That's a far cry from what Smash is sharing. And he wonders why he gets criticism. Like...
they're going to be calling it harassment or hate speech. But when you start convoluting those two things, it can get pretty scary.
But they're not convoluting. He's convoluting them. I think he has to have clarity on what harassment might be. And... you know, if he potentially could be ever committing any of that.
I covered all of that in my previous video where I discussed how Ubisoft had grown increasingly aggressive in controlling its image, cracking down on any form of criticism that doesn't perfectly align with their carefully curated PR narrative that they're trying to push forward with Shadows. It strikes me as some pretty heavy desperation coming out of Ubisoft these
there would be hundreds upon hundreds, or if not thousands upon thousands of videos gone if they were that concerned.
days. Not that anyone's really surprised. I mean, let's be honest. If Assassin's Creed Shadows fails, their entire organization with nearly 20,000 employees could crash and burn as well. Despite all the glowing reviews, the wider gaming community isn't convinced at all, especially right now with the history of the previous releases we've seen with the reviews and how we're not going to be believing anything we see with those outlets. The biggest point of contention that I'm seeing is Ubisoft's blatant DEI pushing with Shadows Yasuke protagonist, complete with the bisexual lighting and the ability to make this guy gay in the game. I have a feeling that...
The DEI, the bisexual lighting? I don't know if Smash knows bisexual lighting. Maybe he does, maybe he's got that rocket in his shag shack. That's so funny. Biomutant, I gotta try that one. Pushing DEI with the ability to make this guy gay. You control the buttons that you push. I would much rather, and it's no skin off my back, to have a lot more agency in a video game to do whatever you want. You want to make Yasuke gay? Make him gay. You want to make him straight? Make him straight. I mean, to remove that type of agency is kind of silly in a role-playing game. But would Smash say Kingdom Come 2 Deliverance because you can make Henry gay? Is pushing DEI? I don't think he said that. He loved that, didn't it? You can do the same for Naomi as well, which you can have romances in the game too. Awesome. And can you have a bunch of them in the hideout? Okay. I'm looking forward to that whole little hideout building thing, or if that's what it is. I saw there was like you can always build like a little settlement. Yeah, honestly, Mr. Lone Wolf, it is similar to the KCD thing, just a double standard. Because Smash was a big fan of KCD. It wasn't woke, it wasn't DEI, even though Henry could have sex with a dude. But because this black man wants to have sex with a dude, or Mike could have sex with a dude, it's a problem. Weird.
That is going to rub a lot of gamers the wrong way when they get to that portion of the game. I mean,
is it going to rub them the wrong way, or are they just going to discover a little bit about themselves, about something they didn't know if it does bother them the wrong way? Again, what are they going to do? Be like, oh, I should have my controller here, and just be like, oh man, I don't want to press the gay buttons, but I really want to press the gay buttons. What should I do? Is it really going to rub you the wrong way? Yeah, Yorch went hard on KCD too.
come on.
But Smash loved it. He was saying it wasn't woke, but yet this is woke and DEI. Yeah, I see what you're throwing down, Ash.
On. What are we even doing here, Ubisoft? Are we serious with this bisexual lighting and this promotional advertising? The historical revisionism going on right now is turning off a lot of longtime Assassin's Creed fans. And beyond the obvious forced inclusivity, it feels like yet another attempt to appeal to a demographic that simply does not exist.
Like, the forced inclusivity, I can't believe the attention that one black protagonist is getting. To call it forced inclusivity, again, this guy's been a part of media. He'd be rubbing himself the wrong way. Yeah, John doubled down and called the dev up. See, that nonsense was foolish.
Or buy games entirely. Remember that oh-so non-existent modern audience that they were initially going for and then realized, oh wait, they don't actually buy games if they even exist at all? Looks like Ubisoft has realized who their audience is and who butters their bread. But even with that being the case, Ubisoft just can't seem to do anything right these days. They're desperately clinging to the Assassin's Creed franchise as a lifeline. But Assassin's Creed Shadows is looking like yet another manufactured hit designed to be propped up by mainstream media. Again, no different than Dragon Age the Veilguard and many other games in recent memory that have come before it. Rather than succeeding on its own merits, the way games should and historically always had, I'm going to be playing it for myself to decide, but I'm not going to be holding my breath to be blown away by anything. But who knows? You never know. Time will tell. If Ubisoft releases are any indication previously, the game's headed straight on a collision course with reality. Just like Dragon Age the Veilguard, I expect to see a massive disconnect between critic scores and player sentiment once the real reviews, from the actual gamers.
And I don't think that we will see that. The reason is, this is probably going to be the most polished Ubisoft game that's come out in a while. I think when they delayed it, they probably reacted to Star Wars Outlaws. That sold poorly. And I won't say it wasn't a complete game. The state that the game is in now is so much better than when it launched. It felt like such a better game. Like I did another playthrough of it. Not another playthrough of it, but I jumped back in. And there was so many improvements to the stealth, to the force stealth notably, because that was kind of a deterrent of it. But I think they saw the poor reaction to that and the poor sales of that, and likely created the most polished AC Assassin's Creed game of all time. I mean, no reason it should be. It shouldn't be a buggy mess, that's for sure. Oh, Fandom Pulse.
Start rolling in. But again, time is going to tell, and I'm extremely curious to see what happens with this one. Anyways, I'm going to leave it there. If you guys want more information, check out...
No, we're good. We're good. So, the takeaways from that I found interesting is all the talk about DEI and forced inclusivity. We were talking about DEI earlier, and I might make a whole video on DEI because I find it fascinating. So, Ubisoft is a diverse company. They have offices all over the place. Do they have some DEI initiatives going on? Sure. Did they hire people just on race and shit? I have no evidence of that. I like to see if someone else does. If that evidence is black person works here, or a person with funny hair or a funny t-shirt works there, that's not really evidence to that total fact. Having Yasuke in there, you know, if they wanted to fine his DEI, go crazy, but he was an established character that has been in other media, and that's what I can't get my head wrapped around, of really taking any of the criticism around that seriously. Like, it's really tough to. If they just pulled him out of nowhere and was like, yeah, you know, from the ancient text we discovered, you know, I'm half Lebanese. I'll be like, this half Lebanese samurai, and he's going to be the main character. You'd be like, okay, DI is bad, but yeah, the term's way overused. It's a blanket statement often. Like, when you say DI, what does that mean? Like, I'll give you an example where equity isn't a bad thing, and real world example that I worked through. I worked at a contact center in a rural area. There was a lot of fishermen that didn't have the computer skills in order to do the jobs. They would keep applying and not be able to get the jobs. Some wouldn't apply at all because they didn't think they could do it. But to kind of level the playing field a little bit, we put on special classes so they could learn PC skills, learn how to use a computer effectively enough that they could possibly get the job, but there were still problems. Some of them didn't have the customer service skills in order to do the jobs. So we did some outside classes for these people to learn how, great customer service skills. So it was helping bring a group of people up that weren't on a level playing field at all, at least to get those jobs. And they weren't taking the jobs away from anyone. No one else was applying. We needed those. You can lift people up without bringing someone else down. And some people take it so fucking personal. Take a look at the chat. Well, yeah, forced inclusion. So let's think about what that actually means. I do agree with that, because especially when it's like someone's heart might be in the right place, be like, I want to help. Make this video game more diverse, but they don't know how to do it, or it comes off as disingenuous. Maybe they should get a consultant's help, but don't get a consultant's help. People will fucking freak out and like try to shut them down. So yeah, I get it. I mean, people just want good stories, but seeing a black person in a game as an NPC, whether it be a character, it shouldn't just be, some guy shouldn't just look at it and be like, yeah, it's DEI because they're in there. They shouldn't, but they likely do in some cases. Yeah, when it messes with an established lore, yeah, I can agree with that. Consultants, sweet baby Rays. Not respecting Japanese culture, that's because DEI. Cultural consultant, DEI. It's such a blanket word. Like, say what you really mean. Like, if the word DEI didn't exist, what would be upsetting about Yasuke being in Shadows? Would it be, yeah, he was a black character, but there was barely any black people back then? Like, would they say what they really meant? I don't know. It's some funny shit, though. But yeah, tomorrow I'm going to actually be streaming some games, which will be a good time. I'm looking forward to playing Shadows. Be playing pretty early my time. Probably like 9 or 10. Because take that trip to New Zealand. Let's see. Aura Storm, like in Andromeda, they rewrote an all-female race using he or they pronouns. It was established they're all female. Okay. Let's take a look at some other ones. Let's take a look at some smaller creators that are off the rocker. What are we looking for here? Not Eye of the Tiger. Not Earthworm Jim. Shadows. Let's go here. Let's take a look at recently uploaded. See what people have to say. Actual reviews. Let's add this magic word. The fuck is this guy? Shareholders are mad. Oh, it's got a recently uploaded. Ubisoft might sue gamers. The Last of Us creator hates Christianity. Drunk Japanese hyperanalyze. This guy must be reacting to some other dude. What's this guy say? Oh, I see Canada there. Let's see what this says.
When you can play anywhere, play here at alc.ca or on the app.
You know what's funny? After Smash put out his video, he was like, my source must have been right. And after Smash realized it wasn't right and Debian removed his tweet, we never heard from him again. Synthetic Man! The guy's a fucking loser.
Months of backlash, Assassin's Creed Shadows is finally set for release. Wasn't originally supposed to be in March of 2025. Originally, it was supposed to be in 2024. That got pushed back not once, but twice, all the way back until now. We're just a week away, really less than a week away, from the release of Assassin's Creed Shadows. And from the moment they started promoting...
Yeah, well, let's go to Synthetic Man. This guy is... Does he have any recent ones on it? Oh my god. He doesn't do a whole lot of videos. What's he say about Kingdom Come 2? Glorified humiliation. I can't do it.
2024 is...
Fucking Dreamcast guy, the new chompers are looking good there, brother. And Demion, you gotta have a video on this, don't you?
Assassin's Creed Shadows...
Except what? This guy's nuts.
Shadows is quickly approaching us, and with every passing day, it feels as if this game will be a big talking point for the entire culture war that surrounds video games for weeks to come. There's going to be a lot to discuss and decipher once Ubisoft drops this nuke on the industry for better and worse. But there's still a lot to talk about today. Firstly, let's get into this story about Yasuke and a lot more that Ubisoft Assassin's Creed Shadows producer got quoted by PC Gamer in this article that's titled, Assassin's Creed Shadows executive producer says Elon Musk is just feeding hatred with his reaction to the game's black protagonist. Mark Alexis Cody spoke to PC Gamer about this where he said, that tweet generated emotions that the first thing I wanted to do was go back on X that I had deleted and just tweet back, said Cody, for me, Elon, it's sad, he's just feeding hatred. I had a lot of 3-word replies that come to mind, but he didn't reply to Musk. By attacking someone like Elon, I will not convince people about our point of view as a team. This tweet is from a while ago, and so is his story, but it all connects as you'll see, but it's smart of Mark here to not attack Elon like this.
You know what's wild to me? When did it be cool to, like, bootlick billionaires? So many of the people on, like, this anti-woke side are like, Elon's our hero. Like, that blows my mind. I've always been of the mind that people that are billionaires are usually sleazy criminals in some way, and that's likely how they got there. Maybe I'm wrong. I'm not saying millionaires are like that, but when you're in the billions, I think there get some questions of integrity and honesty. And when you get in the billions, you can, like, buy yourself into the government, can't you, in the States? Good old America.
With his opinions, and like I've said in the past, Every game developer should restrain their emotions when it comes to replying to public figures too. Otherwise, you'll just end up like Matt Hansen, the art director of Avowed, who got a lot of heat for being a moron. Even here, where Mark pretty much tries to push people into accepting that Yasuke regardless of his authenticity or not. So naturally, Koti refuses Musk's claim that Ubisoft is adhering to a policy or quota by telling a story about a black historical figure. But here's the thing, Mark, this executive producer trying to walk around the criticism when it comes to Yasuke, is doing them no favors either, and they've been doing this for a while now. Claiming that Yasuke is a historical figure is bogus. The guy was nothing but a dude that Oda Nobunaga bought and then was returned to the Jesuits once Oda was killed. Yasuke has
So why the problems with this and not the problems with, the various other media that he's in?
never been recorded to have had any real combat experience. He was a man that Oda just kept around to show off because of his skin.
And the Pope couldn't have fought back then very likely. Maybe the Pope would kick some ass. But there was also a fight with that in Assassin's Creed.
Color. Which, yes, I know, that's racist, but I mean, what are you going to do about...
You want a game? Bring it on. This is it! Canada's Ultimate Challenge! Go, go, go!
I want to do that.
The average team spends 50% of their time doing work about work. That's a lot of dollars down the drain.
Really, this all happened so long ago, none of us were alive. And you can't exactly place your current day views of racism against a place like Japan way back in the 1600s. By the way, I should also point out that Shadows takes place in 1603, that's 3 years after Japan had its infamous ban on foreigners entering their country. Under no circumstances was anyone who wasn't Japanese allowed to enter Japan at the time. But I guess to Ubisoft, that doesn't really matter, because you can now get to parade around as a so-called legendary black samurai that Trust Us Bro existed and also saved Japan. When in reality, he did, well, absolutely nothing. This would be like making Harry Sisson the main character of an Assassin's Creed game. It's just agenda pushing is what it is, and I think trying to go around your detractors' opinions, which they may think are rooted in racism...
I just can't wrap my head around, it's solely being... Again, Yasuke wasn't just pulled out of nowhere. Again, other media... They don't typically use historical figures as playable characters, so they can make changes. Yeah. It's like, if you look at Kingdom Come Deliverance 2, those, not Henry, but I believe the other characters, like Hans was historical, as well as, oh my god, his dad, I forget his fucking name. They were historical characters, but there was liberties taken with them, and it was painstakingly attempt to be historically accurate. But these fucking morons don't even know the difference between Kingdom Come Deliverance 2 representing Christianity and being a Christian game. Like, fucking morons. I'm sorry to go off, but are they brain dead? Or is it that they know their audiences are brain dead and it's so easy to feed them slop? Because I have trouble thinking that Endymion is that stupid or Smash is that stupid. But are they that smart that they know that their audience will believe the bullshit? How do you believe it coming out of your mouth? That's the toughest thing I would have to reconcile. The closest thing they get is the Leonidas at the beginning of AC Odyssey. Yeah, I played, not the Egyptian one, like the Greekish one. I never played Valhalla. I did play Black Flag. I played a lot of Black Flag. I got close to the end. I didn't quite beat it. But, I grew up around the pirate locations. There's old pirate gravestones around where I live and such, which is cool. So Black Flag definitely resonated with me.
When in reality they're rooted in actual historical facts is baffling, to say the least. Yasuke was never a samurai. Ubisoft can't even get anything right, it seems, with this game, as Permaband pointed out as well. Ubisoft put actual Chinese Qing Dynasty era designs on their Assassin's Creed Shadows Collector's Edition, if you can believe it. And you can't make this up, guys. The proof is right there. They even use the same designs verbatim. They didn't even try. So how is any of this not anything but performative theater for Ubisoft? None of it is okay to do so, in my opinion. Every time I see Yasuke on screen mercilessly killing Japanese men without punity during a time period where he would literally be thrown out of the country for simply being there is actually insane to me. And I have to gray out all the footage where he's fighting because there's so much goddamn blood, but Ubisoft looked at the entirety of Japanese history and went, yeah, let's start our Japanese Ass Creed game at the exact moment in Japan's history where Yasuke would not be allowed to exist in any capacity within the borders of Japan as a country. You can't be serious, guys. It doesn't help that plenty of previews have also pointed out that Yasuke just kind of feels out of place, not even so because of his skin color amidst a sea of pale Asian people, although that is one concern, but the fact that...
I did hear there's some funny dialogue with Yasuke trying to, communicate with the Japanese people, despite, I guess, not speaking Japanese. But yeah, it's interesting. I'm looking forward to playing it tomorrow. New game. I've got some Xbox gift cards from like gaining points from playing shit. I played a lot of Potato. The game's tight. So yeah, I'll be jumping on stream tomorrow morning sometime to play that. I hope to see ya. If you want to see what Shadows is like pretty early in the morning, we'll experience some of it together. And hey, Nazmer, I hope you're doing good. Yeah, I'm going to wrap it up. I got some chips and dip I want to eat, and I don't want to eat them on stream. But I appreciate y'all coming and enjoying the conversations with you. We'll do it again real soon. Maybe, well, tomorrow morning I'll be streaming. That's why I got to, sleep and rest up and eat my potato chips. And I got a bunch of animals I got to take care of. I got 2 dogs and 3 cats. Got to make sure they're doing good. So, again, I appreciate you. I appreciate all your common sense, insights, smart words. Y'all are awesome. Have a wonderful rest of your day.